I've generated 41,828 inbound leads from 100% organic content over the past 17 months on the LinkedIn platform. And I'm going to walk you through in this video my exact writing process, how I generated all of these leads. I just started putting together the manuscript of a new mini book that I'm writing. It's called How to Write LinkedIn Content That Gets You Inbound Leads. It's the exact process I used to get 41,822 leads in 17 months. It's going to be part of the collection of books that I've got here, the $1 Million Blueprint, Lead Magnet Playbook, Sell by Chat Playbook, and my Fuck Selling Build Trust book. And so I'm essentially just going to go through the 6 main points of the book with you right now. So I'm going to summarize the points and then I'm going to deep dive into each of these points here. That way you know what is required so that you can actually just generate inbound leads, hundreds and hundreds of inbound leads from your ideal clients on the LinkedIn platform. And I've learned this from coaching 1,500 small business owners how to use LinkedIn to generate leads. And we've got over 500 testimonials. You can have a look at that in the comments, but let's get into it. Okay. So instead of me giving you a kind of like fluffy bunny story of like, hey, just do these things and you'd be amazing, I'm just going to give you like the absolute harsh reality of like what must happen for you to get leads. Like what must happen for you to write content online and human beings who might be your ideal clients to want to come to you. And I'll show you examples and all that kind of stuff, right? Because I'm sick of all these people just writing posts that are just fluffy and amazing and they make you feel good and really no one fucking does anything about it. And it's called cathartic content. Look it up. It literally drives me insane. It's where people do nothing when they read words, all right? So here it is. Here's my no bullshit requirements of what must occur for you to become the human being who can write stuff online and get clients wanting to work with you. So number 1, you must spend hundreds of hours talking to your ideal prospects, understanding their problems. And I'll get into this in a second. Number 2, you must fall in love with the writing process, obsess over it like a weirdo, and have fun doing it. Number 3, you must write in a focused cocoon where no one disturbs you with zero distractions. Number 4, you must measure how many leads you get from ideal potential clients per post. 5, you must study copywriting like a maniac and write to level up your skills. 6, you must have a ritualized system from start to finish that you follow daily. So these are the things that must occur in order for you to become the person. Because I always just like to think like, what has to happen? So what do you have to do to have a six pack, right? You have to eat less calories, you have to exercise, and obviously you have to have good genetics, right? These things must occur, right? What do you have to do if you want to run a marathon? You have to run. Right? And a lot of people think in like terms of like, oh, if I just do these 1 or 2 tweaks, no, it's a lie. This is what actually has to happen. And so let's go through it now, right? So how did I get 41,828 leads from LinkedIn? So number 1, the thing that I did, which is like probably the most important, is I put links in my posts of my content, right? So this is super duper important, right? So if we scroll down here, I've got this post over here, right? And this one here. So if you see this post here, get the free training here. When I click this link, someone puts in their information. This is how I captured all of my leads. I put links in the posts and I've generated like, over the past 17 months or whatever it is, I've generated, created like 136 free things as well. And all these free things, like I just create from helping clients. It's really, really easy to create, right? And so like just generating boatloads of those free things, because when people give you their information, that is actually what counts as an inbound lead. And then that means you can email the human being. Cool. So first step, you must spend thousands of hours talking to your ideal prospects, right? So why is this required? Now, going to be super, super transparent, right? When people I grew up in a place called the Northern Beaches on Sydney, right? In Sydney. It's a small kind of like country townish beach town, right? But the thing is, when you're from the Northern Beaches, everyone from there says you're from the beaches, right? And I used to grow up near a place called Mona Vale Beach, but no one would call it Mona Vale Beach. They'd call it Mona. And then there'd also be the pub down the road, which is now called the Park House, but everyone still calls it Mona Pub, right? That's the thing. The only reason I know this is because I obviously lived there. I grew up there. I understood it. And so when I walk into Mona Vale and around the shops, and when I have a conversation with someone and I say, oh yeah, man, I haven't been living on the beaches for a while and it's literally been ages since I've been down to Mona, the person there who lives in Mona Vale on the Northern Beaches knows I'm an insider. And so they will trust me more. That's the reason why. And so whenever you're like from a certain area, when you grew up in a hometown, you would know there's lingo and there's things that you say to know that you're from that hometown. Now, in your writing, right, when you're attracting clients to you, you have to write in their language using the slang that they use. And that's why ChatGPT content is very difficult to get you inbound leads, because ChatGPT is using generic content from the internet. It's not using the specific language and the terminology that your ideal clients would use. I want to actually give an example here of a post, just so I can kind of illustrate the point. So one of my clients, Bill, he doesn't know how, but he wrote kind of like a semi-viral post. And so Bill is a structural and geotechnical engineering headhunter, right? So he's a recruiter. That's what he does. And so I'm still helping him out with his copywriting, but this post he did down here went really, really well. And we went through it on a call, and I'll explain why now. So let me, where is it? Oh, maybe it's back up here. Give me a sec. There it is, cool. So this one here. So if we read it out loud, 9 out of 10 companies don't ask us to find EITs. Delaying your PE is a 5-figure mistake, right? So when I read that, I have no fucking idea what that means, and I'm sure you don't. But that is a good thing, because the reason it got so much engagement is because when people read that, they thought, oh, Bill is an insider. He understands my industry. And also, if someone writes about EITs and PE, if I'm from that kind of engineering world, I will immediately know that Bill is talking about something I care about, right? Really key. And so I've got another client, Ignacy, who we've worked with, and he helps down here. He helps AEC professionals learn BIM coordination in easy and effective way, right? I don't know what an AEC professional or BIM coordination is, but the reason why he's had so many clients, he's got so many followers, is because when they read this, they're like, oh, I'm an AEC professional and I want to learn BIM coordination. And obviously no one else who hasn't been in that industry wouldn't understand something about it, right? And that's literally the key. And so unless you spend hundreds of hours talking to these ideal clients and just naturally picking up the language that they use and the nuances, you won't be able to actually write content to generate inbound leads, because people will read what you've said and they'll be like, yeah, but you don't understand me in my situation. You don't understand me. And so this is why people, when they're starting out, they're writing all this content trying to get inbound leads when they can't, when all you should be doing is you should be reaching out to people and DMing them, having conversations with them, working with them for free if you're starting out, and then understanding their lingo and terminology. And then by that time, you've understood it so much, you just get so many inbound leads. And so that's like the very first point. So it has to happen. It's so you know the insider language. Otherwise, it's impossible for you to write it. And because AI is getting better and better, people are getting better at formatting of copywriting. It's super key. So you need to become an insider, right? This has to happen. If you don't, you'll never get inbound leads. It just won't happen. And so if you're an existing business owner, and if you are, you're my ideal client, so lock in a chat, would love to speak with you. You already know how to do this. You know the language of your ideal clients, but people starting out, they don't. Now, the second thing is you must fall in love with the writing process. So I'm just going to really double down on this. So I did a call the other week. So I'm in this guy's program called Tucky Moore, his like top level mastermind program, pay like 50 something grand a year to be a part of it. He's the guy who's coached Alex Hormozy, Dan Martell, and all these amazing people. I did a talk into his community the other day. It's the third time I've spoken to them, and I talked about how to write content. And these are a whole bunch of business coaches. There was like 100 people on the call. This is the thing that I like hammered into them, where I was like, you literally, unless you actually love writing and doing it, you won't succeed, right? You just can't. And a lot of people say, hey, can I outsource it? Can I get a ghostwriter? You can. You've got to pay a couple of $1,000s a month to find someone that's actually good. It's really, really difficult. And especially someone that can write in your niche. You need to fall in love with the process. You have to do it. And the way that you do it, you fall in love with it, is you essentially in your mind, you think, fuck it, right? Fuck it. I don't care. I don't care. The reason people don't like writing online is because they're too scared of what other people think about them. The moment you decide, fuck it, I'm going to write what I want online, is the moment you start really enjoying it, because it allows you to express your opinions, your true opinions. And it's like when you're with your best friends, right? You can say what you actually think. you feel amazing. You really, really like it. And one of my clients, Josh, the other day wrote this in his post. I actually want to bring it up over here, right? So really, really great post he wrote. So let me pull it down here. Okay, where was it? It was a couple of days ago. You should follow him. His content is amazing. He did a lead magnet post using our format the other day. We got thousands of comments, 5,000. I'll show you after this one. But like he said, there's one deep insight that drives my LinkedIn growth. Backstory, in order to save my shop gold front, last year I committed to posting every day on LinkedIn. And then he talked about what happens. Here's the insight behind the success. At a certain point, I just said, fuck it, I'm going to be me. I'm going to stop acting like I know everything or even a lot. Literally. He just said, fuck it, right? This is what you need to do, because when you start doing this, you can see his content now, boatloads of engagement, really loves it. And I'll show you his lead magnet post, which he used, 5,000 comments. Absolutely insane, right? So like, you got to say, fuck it, right? And if you don't, you're going to start be writing all this PC jargon bullshit, and you will not enjoy it because you can't express yourself. And so like on this call right now, like I haven't had a shower, haven't shaved, I'm in a singlet because I'm like, fuck it. I went for a walk, got a decaf coffee, and I'm like, man, I really want to just speak to this because I think it's really important. So fuck it, I don't care. And then the more authentic that you become, that you are, the more you attract clients to you because they feel that through their nervous system. It's like when you go to a party, there's someone who's really confident, easygoing, people are attracted to them and they want to talk to them. It's the same with content and writing online. People are attracted to Josh because they're like, man, I want to be like Josh. I want to say fuck it. You know what I mean? So authenticity, it's really an overused word, but it's really, really important. Now, the third thing is to write content that generates hundreds of inbound leads is you must write in a focused cocoon with zero distractions. I can't repeat this enough, right? And I'll tell you what my focused cocoon is, right? So when I write content, like this morning when I was writing that manuscript, my phone is on Do Not Disturb, right? And so my phone actually is 100% permanently on Do Not Disturb all the time. Now, obviously, I don't have kids, and so I can do that. You can also have a setting on your phone which allows people to call through your Do Not Disturb, which can work as well. I also have these noise canceling headphones that I put on, like this. Sometimes I put on some music, sometimes I don't as well. I close out of every single application. I make sure no one's coming to my house. My dog's just gone to the bathroom, so he's just sitting down there. Everything is like relaxed and chilled. I can't be interrupted. There's nothing on my calendar. No one can reach out to me, right? And that is what a focused cocoon is. There's a guy called Cal Newport. He wrote a book called Deep Work. I don't know if you need to really read the book, but he just talks about the importance of actually doing deep work, which is work that has no distractions. And nowadays, like I did a call with our tier 2 clients the other week, and I asked them a question. I was like, do you actually write in a focused cocoon? And a lot of them are like, no. They're like scrambling to get their last post out like every single day. The worst thing, you want to be pre-written ahead of time, but like the only way you can like batch write content is if you're really getting a focused cocoon. And the only way that I was able to write so I go here, right? Today I was able to write like a lot of stuff, right? A lot in a small period of time is literally because I was writing in a focused cocoon. Like you can't do it without it. And so this is like, it's literally a requirement. So literally, we'll just say, block yourself out from the world. So block out, right? I'll just use that there. I don't know why I chose purple, but fuck it, whatever. This goes with the theme of fuck it. Now, the fourth thing you must do to actually get hundreds of inbound leads on LinkedIn is you must measure how many leads you get from your ideal clients per post. This is like the biggest thing on LinkedIn, right? Like, because there's so many content creators, right? So if I go to the LinkedIn feed and I look at content here, as I'm scrolling down, so let's say Davide does this post. Obviously, he's not a business owner, he's an account strategist at Google, right? But if I read here, he won't know unless he actually clicks here how many of his ideal clients actually engage on his stuff. Now, we actually built a software tool called Link Ninja, where what it does is it extracts everyone who comments, puts them in Sales Navigator over here, and it runs a filter and it pulls it back to our system growth mode. So if you want to learn about that, lock in a time with me as well. It works really, really well, but it allows you to actually track how many people have engaged in your content. Now, the other way to do this, like I showed you before, is you put links inside your post. So if I go back here, cool. So we'll scroll back to here, right? So this post, right? If you put a link in your post, it allows you to then track how many leads did I actually get from that post. And so one of my clients, Jamie, who over here, so I just texted him before. He's got a webinar now, which he put live. He had 18 recruiters sign up to it, which was really good from one of our offer posts. But if I go to Jamie's post here, right? So he talks about this post 1 day ago. He said he got 4 or 5 leads from this post. Only 20 likes and 5 comments, right? But he actually got leads. But he did another post a while back. Where was it? Down, let me go over here. Yeah, this one here. So he said about recruiters, please don't make your consultants suffer. Cold calling is dead, right? He got 65 leads from this one. 65. So Jamie now knows that, okay, cold calling is people are talking about cold calling. He said recruiters, he said consultants, he said cold calling, he talked about warm calling, and then he used a case study as well, this is a fucking phenomenal post, all right? Really, really good. 65 inbound leads. We literally click the link in his post as well down here, and then they just put in their information. And he said to get the information or to get the recruiter's warm campaign system, right? Like this is like, and the problem is like with LinkedIn is really likes do not equal leads. And I think I want to make that the main point here. But like if you don't measure, like I think there's a term that says what doesn't get measured doesn't get managed. Can't remember where that's from. But like likes do not equal leads, because there's a lot of people that write a lot of generic fluffy content on LinkedIn. They get loads of engagement, but like it doesn't actually lead to leads for your business. And so you've really got to measure by, people clicking the links or using a software platform that we've got. Because if you don't, you could just be wasting hours and hours and hours on your Sunday writing while your kids are downstairs and you feel guilty because you're not hanging out with them, but you want to make enough money so you can, go away on that holiday every year like you promised you'd take them on, right? It's because you're not actually tracking anything, which really sucks. Now, number 5, really key. You must study copywriting like a maniac and write to level up your skills. And I really want to dive into this one. So my business partner is really good at design. And so Steve can look at a Tesla, which is a car, and he can be like, if I look at a Tesla, I'm like, okay, it looks nice. And he says, no, it looks nice because of this angle and this shade and this thing, and they place this thing here and then this thing, because he can actually describe why it worked, right? Really describe. Now, when it comes to writing content online, because it's very easy to just write things, anyone can do it, right? It's very easy, but people don't understand that like what they're writing, there's the gap between what is good and like what is amazing, right? And they can't actually see. They can kind of, when they read good writing, they're like, I felt something, right? But they can't like really explain it. And so when I'm looking at, say, Jamie's post, I'll explain to you right now in every word why it worked. So number 1, he's said attention recruiters, right? Which is Jamie's ideal client, and that's all he talks about. He said, please don't make your consultants suffer. So he's addressing business owners and saying, making your consultants suffer. He's also used the terminology consultants because that's what recruiters use. That's like the actual terminology of the language. He said, cold calling is dead. So Jamie's essentially thrown out a contrarian opinion because most recruiting businesses are grown through cold calling, right? And he said it's dead. It's completely dead. So he's addressed the business owner. He said why they suffer, and he said it's dead. And so this obviously is going to pull someone out as well. Now, the third line is he said warm calling is in. And so that opens up a curiosity loop in people's brain that makes them think, oh, what's warm calling? So you've like hooked them with attention, and then they're like, oh, what's warm calling? And then he's pulled out this person, which is a case study. So Jackie Fine was struggling with BD. And so someone will go to Jackie's account and be like, okay, Jackie is a recruiter, right? So was struggling with business development, and all recruiters use the terminology BD or business development. What helped is he's worked in a recruiting business before. He's also chatted to boatloads of recruiters, so he understands the niche. Then it says she started working with us and one day had 20 callbacks from CFOs. Now she's having regular conversations with CSOs where she can her 20 years of experience in finance and offer her recruitment services. So he's used the word callbacks. That's a terminology that recruiters use. 1 day. She was working with us, right? He's laid all this on purpose. Now she's having regular conversations with his CFOs where she can show 20 plus years of experience in finance and offer her recruitment services. So now he's speaking to his ideal clients, which are experienced recruiters that can't get leads, but they can help a lot of clients, right? And then he says, how do we do it? We warmed her prospects up before the call even happened by providing value first before speaking with prospect. The result, more conversations, less send me an email, or we don't work with agencies, which is something classic of what people say to recruiters. He says, business development is always about calling harder. It's about calling smarter. Grab my free guide on how to launch warm campaigns for cold calling prospects here. Amazing. Goes into the guide. So you can see how I'm describing like what's happening in here. Most people, when they read it, they can't describe. And that's why studying copywriting is super key. And the way you study copywriting is you write a lot, you see how many inbound leads come, and then you look at the best content online, and then you try to rewrite that content. You also want to have something what's called a swipe file. I won't get into this too much, but my swipe file looks like, let me pull it up here. So any post that you kind of like see that sticks out to you, or you're like, oh man, I could use that, or really like hooks you in, right, is you want to pull it into a swipe file. Let me eventually when this loads. Cool. It's a bit of madness here, but you can see swipe file. I've got loads and loads of content. And so when I need inspiration and ideas, I can come here and I can look at the different swipe files as well. Cool. Now, maybe getting an idea. So I'm reading Marina's post, how I grew 40,000 followers on LinkedIn. You asked for it, you got it. Most people treat it like LinkedIn. So like that's a type of post that I could potentially put together. And then you got like 1,000 comments, right? And so really cool. That one there, oh, it's a pretty funny post. And so see how like this is like hooking me in as well, which is really key. Really, really good. All right. So next one. So you must study copywriting. And I'm going to say for the words here, you got to nerd out, right? You have to nerd out on it. If you don't nerd out on it and really start enjoying it, you won't do it, right? Now, number 6, this is a big one. You must have a ritualized system from start to finish you follow, right? This is really key. So I'll just walk you through my ritualized system of what I do when I'm writing. So come into this room. I've usually had a coffee, but I'm off coffee for a month. I'm just having a decaf right now, right? Headphones on, nothing on my calendar. And then what I pull up is, let me go over here. All right, so number 1 is I pull up my notes. So in my notes, I've got a whole bunch of LinkedIn posts that I've saved. Or so these are all like ideas for posts where I've essentially just written them down. And so these are ideas that I've got ready to rock. The other thing that I do is I also open up, and I've got multiple screens happening so I can see it all, right? I just can't show multiple screens on this video. Then what I'll do is I go to, let me pull it up here. I go to saved items, right? And then I go to saved posts and articles. Yep. And then what I do is I'm pulling this up and I'm looking at all the saved content that I've got here. And then the other thing that I do is I'm also opening up my own content over here. And then I'm looking inside and I'm seeing, okay, what's working and what's not. Another thing that I do is I go content, I think it is. No, it's let me just go Google Sheets, right? I'll pull up, I can't remember what the name is called. Cool. And what I also did is I exported all of my content from Authored Up. So Authored Up is just this tool over here that I use for writing content, great tool. And I essentially just put it all into here. And I've got it sorted by what got the most views over here. And so then I can say, okay, now obviously views doesn't equal leads, right? But it's giving me a baseline because all I do is I talk about the same stuff. And then so essentially I look down here and I'm like, okay, cool. Which are the best hooks? And so all of these things like give me inspiration of what I'm going to write about. Then what I do is once I decide on an angle of what I'm going to do, either for an angle, I might find, this one. So I might go to Will's post as an example, and I might be like, okay, I really like Will's angle of the post that he's done. He does really great visuals for his content. So I might be like, okay, I really like the angle. I might just copy this here, and then I pull this up, and I go here, and oh shit, let me get rid of these. Cool. And then I might paste it if I've got that as the angle. And then what I do is I open up my clock on my computer over here. And then I set a timer for 10 minutes and I hit start and then I begin writing. That's literally what I do. And I have a 10-minute timer for writing my content. And then once I've rewritten a post, so let's pull out a post that I wrote here, right? So this Casey Neistat video freaked me the fuck out, right? I wrote this post. Now, after I've written it, then what I do is I schedule it on a certain date. So if I go to my drafts over here, right? If I look at like this, if I go file, I essentially label my drafts as, year, space, month, space, day. And so if you ever look down here, I've got all this pre-written content here, underneath here. Cool. And so like last night's content was the 14th, yesterday. I had post 1 and post 2. So if you go to my content over here, my latest 2 posts, I've got, say, post 1 and post 2, right? All ready to rock. And so I'm essentially just pre-scheduling ahead of time. And then that way content's going to go out. And so I can see here what's coming out today. My client posted a lead magnet. It got amazing results. Oh, do I not have another one for 15th? No, I got my first one here in the 15th, right? So I've got these 2 posts that are going out today. And that's literally my whole entire writing process. So I'm making sure that each thing is like 10 minutes. You can do more, which is fine. I'm writing it and then I've got it set up in drafts and then I do 2 posts a day and then I kind of like just manually post it at the time. You might say under here as well, there's these little pins. What I also like to do is I like to pre-write my own comments as well sometimes, just because I like to give extra opinions on things because that gets extra attention. And so that's how I write. So you can see I'm pre-written. I've got the 17th, this 18th, I think got the 19th as well. And so I'm written up to the weekend as well, which is pretty good. Cool. And so that is number 6. So having a ritualized system. And so I think the best word for this is a system, right? Which is super key. Cool. And so that's everything. So I'm going to re-go back through it and then give you one last little bonus section. So you got to spend loads of hours talking to people so you can speak their language. You want to be an insider. You must fall in love with the writing process, and you got to really do that by saying, fuck it, I don't care. You must write in a focused cocoon with 0 distractions. So you've literally got to block yourself out from the outside world. You must measure how many leads you get from ideal clients per post. And it's because likes do not equal leads. So putting links inside your post. And you must study copywriting like a maniac and write to level up your skills, right? So you really got to nerd out. And then you must have a ritualized system from start to finish that you follow. And the word for this is really system. Now, the very last thing I want to cover, which is a bonus, and this is probably, once you kind of see this, you kind of can't unsee it, is the bonus is why stacking your skill matters, right? Why skill matters. So when you first start doing something, you just suck, right? Or always, right? Everyone sucks at everything. So you might feel like, okay, you put in 1 hour of effort, and you feel like the return on that 1 hour of effort was like a 0.02. Oh, sorry, 0. That's a bit low, 0.2, right? So you put in an hour of effort, you kind of got an okay return, but you don't really feel like you did, right? The second thing that happens is like, let's say you keep going and you're getting better and better at the skill and you're trying to get better, you might have like a 0.3 return. So still, you're not getting a great return on your time. But eventually what happens is, you actually feel like the effort you put into writing content is worth the return on investment as well, right? So you're like, actually, it's worth it. Now, what then happens though with a skill, because you can keep getting infinitely better, especially at a skill of writing, right? Writing to get inbound leads, is you can feel like you put in an hour and it's actually worth 5 times that, which is amazing. And then even better, you can do an hour and you can get like 100 times reward from the time that you put in. And this is why I'm so optimistic on getting good at the skill of something, because AI is going to keep getting better and better and better, but human being skill isn't. And it's always the human being that wields the AI that's going to be the best, and the human being that has taste and that has understanding. And because of this, this is why, let's say if you look at baseball, right? In baseball, if you hit the ball, you can only get a maximum of 4 runs, right? If you've got all the bases loaded. With skills, you can hit the ball, you can get 100x return, literally. And so when I look at like my LinkedIn profile and me getting this many leads, you're probably looking at me and being like, how did you do that? Are you cheating? What are you doing? Right? It's not that. It's just that, I've been posting for like 2.5 years, nearly 3 years now, to be honest. And if you look at my content performance, right, I've got how many views on it? I don't even know. Eventually when it loads. Yeah, so there's 15 million views. That's why it works, because I've just done it so much and I'm at the point where I'm just like 1 to 100. Anyways, guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video. There's a bunch of free resources below. Grab them. And if you want to work with me, lock in a time. Let's have a chat. If not, have a great day.